Hello, my name is Francis Fox, and I have a degree in political science. I ran a business for 30 years. It's still functioning today very nicely, thank you. I build things with strong foundations. Sometimes I don't know enough in the beginning, especially that particular business, so it took me forever. Now I do my homework so that I don't have to waste time reinventing the wheel when other people invented it very nicely, thank you. I'm a military mind control victim. Still, to say that I am not caught up with them would be an absolute lie. To what extent they can still control me? Not a lot. Do they have plans for me that are not playing out? I think so. Doing the best I can. What is that book title? I'm dancing as fast as I can. But I'm actually enjoying a lot of what it is that I'm doing because for decades, I had a statement that would run in my head continuously. And it would be like, do you understand? Even when I was a little kid, I wanted to tell all those military guys and all those people, do you get it? Do you understand? And of course they didn't, which is why I had that question constantly in my head. Even when I was going to get abused, I would kind of like, hey, wait a second, wait a second. It doesn't have to be like this. People don't listen. So here we are. So I'm a little bit bored doing the map of the United States. It's like a little bit too stable in the other dimensions. And for somebody like me, it's a little bit boring. So I decided to widen my lens on my maps. And I liked what I saw. So let me go over that first, and that'll kind of get me into the mood. As I told you, especially since I talked about the Vatican, the fashion police aren't here to help me. Actually, haven't been around for a year and some. That would be my daughter. To tell me that this jewelry for a business thing is really too much. Well, you know what? I don't have a lot of options. So it's good the fashion police are not here. Hopefully, we'll all be back together soon. So here's the map, which is behind me, and which, of course, I didn't get up on the proper place, but I will have it in 2 seconds so that you won't have to wait. You don't get bored. You don't click off. Needing to be constantly stimulated is because you have excess of the fire element. Oh, darn. Um, and so you have to be constantly doing things to keep the person engaged. So reduce the fire element, which cannabis does beautifully. Actually, that's its job. Um, and you'll see that people will be more patient with everything. Okay, here we go. Map. 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 I'm looking at it. Interesting. I think I put it in the wrong place. That's pretty typical of me. Going too quickly. I'm afraid I'm going to bore you. Okay. Mm. Trump, if you don't get me out of here quick, they're going to find my body that will have died from boredom. And they're going to say, darn, she had pneumonia and nobody found out. Did you know she had pneumonia? No, she didn't say anything. And a lot of other things I've had to deal with on my own. So please get these bad guys all rounded up or whatever it is you're going to do with them. I don't think they all fit in prison. It's too many of them. Okay, here we go. Here's the map. So I made the US smaller and I said, I want to see what's around the US. Well, guess what? It's a very large spaceship. I am not drawing this because I want to throw in some excitement. When I map, that is just simply the way it is. So, what does it say? It says spaceship. Those spaceship people, aliens, beings, gods, are not happy with NASA. Why? I don't know. Space Force is okay, but kind of limping. That's the information of what they're thinking about in that spaceship. The United States is a big pink heart. There's a double Merkaba, which means we have tremendous protection. And the fact that the spaceship is lavender means that those are the galactics of the highest order. You have Florida, wonderful, healing, great. You have half of Texas where Elon is, it's green, but you have black magic again on the border. And that's why I identified, which I didn't dare say it before, that there's a submarine there that triangulates with two other places or two other places where there's electronic equipment. And in between that, they're frying whatever it is that Elon is doing, including his stock. So that was taken care of, and it's back up again. Okay, that's it on the map. It looks great. In other words, when there is no crisis, it gets a little bit boring. And that's a very big issue. Very, very, very big issue. When you get everything under control, Trump, it's going to, some people are going to feel like they're flatlining. And that's one of the problems with Alex Jones, who has been incredible at identifying the truth behind conspiracy theories. But if there is nothing exciting happening, he's going to have a struggle because that's his food. Which, by the way, that extra fire, that's the food of the devil. That has nothing to do with Alex Jones. Fire is the food of the devil. Cannabis reduces fire. We were told that cannabis was the food of the devil. No. Look at Chinese medicine, Ayurvedic medicine. If you have a disease or a condition, it's from excess fire, and they would know that by checking you. Cannabis is one of the things that they've recommended for centuries. But we were sold the disinformation that cannabis is the food of the devil. It's not. It reduces the food of the devil. So people, it's really great if you have a lot of spirit attachments, if you have a lot of crazy thoughts, if you can't sleep at night. Insomnia started 30 years ago. Before that, if you couldn't sleep a couple nights in a row, you trolleyed on over to the doctor and said, I can't sleep. And they'd say, oh, you have insomnia. Wow, a diagnosis. I swear to you, you guys are going to feel so silly when you look back, and you're doing it now. RFK is doing a great job, and you see what has been okay with you. So you put a name on the fact that I'm not sleeping. Now what? Well, it's insomnia. I'm not going to go on and on because it is in process of resolution. I like what Candace Owens is doing. I'm liking her better. She seems to be softer. And she has that cross that she used to have like right here. It's sitting further away. I find that very significant. I was not happy when I saw 2 or 3 weeks ago. I don't know, when you're by yourself, you can't talk to people, you don't see people. It's hard to keep a grip on time. But a couple of weeks ago, several weeks ago, Alex Jones was talking about, he had t-shirts out about the Holy War. Don't do that. The Holy War was the Crusades. I already said it. That's when we, the whites, Christians, Catholics, ran over to the Mideast and started killing people because they would not accept Jesus Christ as their savior. They didn't know the language. They didn't know who Jesus Christ was. But they were bad people because they did not accept Jesus Christ. Well, I want to tell you, all you guys, or most of you guys that are talking about Jesus Christ, you don't even know who Jesus Christ really was. You see him all in these white robes. Do you really think he ran around like that, looking that clean, looking that angelic? You got to grow up. It's a storyline. It's a marketing, genius marketing. I live more like Jesus Christ than practically all of you that run around Christian, Christian, Christian. Christians, no, cancel that word. Jesus Christ would have not gone to war. He didn't go to war. Jesus Christ was born in a stable. Oh my God, he was born in a stable. Poor Mary. He was born next to animals. He was born next to the earth, the straw, a natural setting. There were no autistic kids back then because they had contact with the elements. Poor Jesus Christ, he was born in a stable. He had a wooden bed. The earth element, wood, is in the original Lord's Prayer where it says, doesn't say, protect us from evil. Literally, it doesn't say that in Aramaic. It says, help us to be grounded, landed, which means enough of the earth element. And nobody can argue that because that's the way it is. So he was put in a wooden cradle, which is wonderful. And his mother was on a horse or a donkey, which is wonderful. You don't see that as wonderful. Therefore, you don't really know who Christ was. Therefore, you cannot understand any of his messages. So, here's another thing you don't get. I'm so sorry, I am a little hyped up. You don't understand that. Oh, they put a crown of thorns on his head. Okay, that must have pinched. Did you really think that that's the point? What's the point? This is the point. Fluoride is the point. What he was saying was trying to get to the third eye, which is yours. You own it. You're born with it. God wanted you to have it. Trying to get to the third eye is dangerous. It's pinchy. And so the government went out along with that and gave us fluoride, which kills the third eye, which kills wisdom. The third eye is all about wisdom. Founding fathers put the third eye on our money for us to be wise. And then we're running around accusing them of conspiracies. You do know that science found eye cells in the forehead decades ago. So they said, maybe we used to have 3 eyes. Why maybe? You just said there are eye cells in the forehead. Therefore, there were eyes there. Therefore, somebody, the bad guys in Jesus's life, did not want Jesus or the followers to access their wisdom. Okay, what was Jesus Christ? He was a shaman. What's a shaman? Scientology knows what a shaman is, but they only teach half of it. They teach you about spirits, how the spirits influence you, and how you can use the spirits to influence your life and the people around you. Hundreds of thousands of dollars. So Jesus Christ was about spirits and the elements. That is the definition of a shaman. SHAMAN. Sorry, I also have a terrible throat situation going on. Probably repressed rage. Swallowing is like, I don't even know how I can describe it. So, Jesus Christ was a shaman. He didn't run around with all those clean clothes, guaranteed. So 30 years ago, when I started in the whole thing of being on the radio and TV and the rest of that, I had a radio station that was Colombian. They didn't like the fact that I was working with spirits. I mean, only the devil, people that work with spirits are working with the devil. But the Christians do liberations, which means they're releasing spirits from people. And the Catholic Church has the exorcists, and they're releasing spirits from people. But regular people who want to be like Christ cannot say a word about spirits. That's changing. It's changing. It's getting better. Because that's just, they're obviously working with the devil. So you want to be like Christ, then you have to be like a shaman. Here's the trick. I call myself a galactic shaman because I kind of learned a lot of the laws of planet Earth, which the shamans have to know in order to be able to give you a healing. The balance of the elements, which is what Chinese medicine, Ayurvedic medicine is all about. And then the spirits. And the first thing they do is take care of the spirits, because it's like going to your doctor and you have a knife stuck in you. You go to the doctor, heal me, to the doctor. And the doctor goes, okay, tries to take out the knife, and you go, no, 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 no. Don't touch that because I don't believe in that. You go ahead and heal me from this knife wound. How am I going to heal you from the knife wound? It's never going to close because you have a knife there, which is basically would be the spirit. No, I don't believe in spirits. And that's what we've done to medicine. Now, Ayurveda and Chinese medicine do believe in spirits. But the people, as it's practiced in this part of the world, they don't know that. Chinese medicine has 33 ghost points, acupuncture points. 33. Oh, what a coincidence. The vibration of Jesus, 33 ghost points. Look it up. Just put in 33 ghost points, or just ghost points in Google. That's been around forever. Now they kind of dropped that because if you come to this country or this part of the world where everybody's so clean and so whatever, Christian, but totally non-shaman, they had to drop it. You can't teach that in this country. You can't teach medicine in this country and talk about spirits because it's just simply not allowed. Well, you can't be a healer unless you deal with the spirits because they're the ones that mess us up, including what we're now really getting into, which are the parasites. Parasites are spirits. They're very small, but they're spirits, and they have consciousness. Well, wormwood, now's a big thing. That takes care of spirits. Yeah, it does. We've known that for centuries, but not over here. And wormwood compresses on your eyes will help kill your third eye that is heavily invaded by parasites, weakened by fluoride and all sorts of other things. But they're parasites, they're not spirits. Yes, they are spirits. Yes. Yes. There's a study. Dang it, I can't find the video that we did. We spent a lot of time on it. But you can look it up. They did cancer studies, and it turns out that cancer cells wake up at night. You cannot have something wake up that doesn't have consciousness. Those are the spirits. And as I've always said, I want to have one of those run my company because they are so good. They're so savvy. They know everything. Past, present, future, consequences of everything. They know everything. Like Carl Jung talked about, that everybody knows everything, past, present, future. I'm surprised they let him talk. He has so much good stuff. So cancer cells wake up at night. Now, do you think that the people who did that study dared talk about spirits? No. They went ahead and they went, what does that mean? No, it didn't mean there's spirits. What that means is that we should do more chemo at night. Oh my God. Yeah. Why don't you go ahead and do that? Because the chemo will affect the spirits in your cancer cells more at night when they're awake, which is not true because the spirits really come and attack a lot when you're asleep. So the fact that they wake up at night means that they're kind of intelligent because you are going to be asleep. Now, this is the kind of thing that I can go into only sarcasm, because other than that, I would sit here crying. Because you are going to go into a holy war against the Muslims and you don't even know or believe in anything that Jesus Christ lived or believed in. And I'm going to repeat the story. I was at a party on a weekend. There was a family there and they were sad because their son was going into the military, like the following week. And it very Christian, very correct, everything correct. Okay. So anyway, he came over to chat with me, whatever. And I said, okay, Christian. Okay. And I said, do you think Christ is going to be happy about you going to war? And he went like that. And he looked at me like, but he was actually listening. Anyway, we had a very minor conversation. I didn't push the point. And I was told the following week that he had decided not to go into the military. So if anybody wants to scream, we need people in the military. Yes, you need people in the military because you don't understand Jesus Christ. You tout him, but you don't understand him and you're not living like him. Now, I'm going to interrupt you and say, Trump, I am thrilled that you continue with the golfing, and that when they complain because you're golfing with your granddaughter, I feel like taking off my chancleta and hitting them on the head, my sandal, the way the Hispanic mothers and grandmothers do when they take off their sandal, then everybody goes, oh, she's bad. Keep golfing. You might want to try boating. I think you'll enjoy it. Just get people that you like to have conversations with. I think you'll enjoy it. Water element is really good. Water is emotions. So there is a conspiracy that the people that want us to be at war need for us to weaponize. They need to weaponize our anger against somebody. So it appears that they are weaponizing it against the Muslims. I'm not embracing the Muslims. I don't have time to research all of that or to read the books. I'm fine with what it is that I get that comes under Christianity, the Bible, Jesus Christ. But the other day I told you that I gave a chat, and then I gave another one. I gave another one about the Vatican. The Vatican's going down because we spent another full chat, several hundred people that ended up being, I think, 3,000 or 4,000 people. And our intention was to bring light and to knock over anything that would not allow light to go into the Vatican, and to wake up the people, the 6 blocks around the Vatican that are permanently asleep with radionics weapons. So we went back to the hospital in Miami, Catholic hospital. The morgue, they were doing a satanic ritual on me. That's how I ended up there. I'm not running around trying to find people that I can uncover. I'm not an investigative reporter. I'm taking care of myself, and in the process, I'm trying to teach people things, and I'm trying to take care of the country that I apparently have chosen to identify with, because I could certainly have my rage against this country and its government be so big that I would end up saying, what am I going to say? I was Tibetan because I lived there a year. I was German. I was there 3 months. I say I'm Cuban, but honestly, I wouldn't back up Cuba. So I'm here and I'm dedicated, and I'm not playing games with this. My history is so confusing that all of this is very confusing, but I lost my train of thought. So where was I at? Because I was going someplace, and I was going someplace really fast. Holy War. The morgue of the Catholic hospital in Miami next to Grove Isle on the water, nobody's going to be suing me. We went back there last night, the night before, I think it was last night. They sell organs. And the people that have not been able to get their organs for the last 4 days, because I have been screaming about that hospital, I think there's going to be a lot of problems, because I think those are pre-sales, right? Like when you're in a store and you want something, but it hasn't arrived yet. So you order it and you pay for it, and you're waiting for it to come in. Well, I think people pre-ordered organs, and they're not going to get them from that Catholic hospital in Miami, because they're not going to be doing any of that anymore. There's too many eyes on them. So it's going to get really interesting. So back to Holy Wars. Jesus Christ, shaman. Okay. Shamanism has to do with the elements, which are, there are 4 or 5 depending upon whatever, and spirits. Aliens are spirits. There's not anybody that knows shamanism or knows anything about the spirit world that is going to tell you that aliens are anything but spirits. So, okay, so you got half of the shamanism thing. So you don't really accept that Jesus Christ was a shaman, and you will not deal with spirits because that's the work of the devil. Good luck with dealing with aliens. Now, Are the laws that are on planet Earth that have to do with the elements, do they apply to the galaxy? And I call myself a galactic shaman because I'm finding out that they kind of do. The law of attraction, which is like right now the major law on planet Earth, it used to be the law of intention. But the law of attraction is more important today. Magnetic resonance. Chicago, a cesspool because there was a portal there, because too many Indians died there, too many tribes were there. I didn't know that before we went in there. They died, they had wars. The Anglos, do we call them Anglos? The Americans, the whites, whatever, took over their land, their ancestral land, and the bodies never got purified. The spirits never got sent to the light. Anyway, the big portal, whatever. Law of attraction. Does it kick in? Because the lake that Chicago is on, apparently a lot of people have seen spaceships there. Are those going to be the good spaceships? Like the one above the United States? Or the bad galactics? Well, law of attraction, which I have found is applying to off planet, means that you would get the bad galactics there. Bad area, low vibration, we clean that up. I'm going to get to that in a minute. And that's what you're going to draw on from off planet. How do we get people on board with all of this? I took care of a child several years ago that was sick since she was born. And I was brought in, somebody contacted me when she was 2 years old, and she had just been sent home from the hospital in a hospice situation that she went home 2 years old to die. So somebody called me, and if I could check, could I make a difference? I don't know. Let me check. It turned out somebody had done black magic on the mother because they didn't want this child to be born. And the magic landed on the infant in utero. So the infant in utero had the energy of death. And at 2 years of age, she was in that process. So I removed the black magic, and the child, within 2 hours, less than that, woke up from the coma that she was in. She was sent home in coma. And she kept getting better and better and better as the days went by. I took care of the child, and I didn't charge other than the initial where I removed the black magic. And it was interesting because they wouldn't send a doctor to visit the child because she had been sent home. She was going to die. There was no way she was going to get out of that. She did pass when she was around 5, which I knew at that time anyway, because she had completed her mission with her parents. And part of her mission had to do with me, learning from her. The parents were so open, and it was easy to work with. It was very painful, but it was easy. One of the interesting things was that every time she would take a nosedive in her health at home, they didn't send a doctor for 6 months after I woke her up because they kept saying she's in hospice, she's dying, and the nurse kept saying she's not dying anymore. No. So, and when the doctors finally came, they did genetic testing because I didn't understand how could the child had survived. Well, it'd be interesting to see where that went. It's not important. But several times a child would go into crisis, and the mother would send me an email and say, listen, can you help out here? She's going really deteriorating by the second. And every time that I would sketch it, it was a crisis in the family that the child was absorbing. And I told them, I don't withhold information. That's how we get into all this trouble. Oh, don't worry your pretty little head about that. And I was like, wow, interesting. Transference of energy. So, being that I'm very ADD, I'm going to go off on a tangent, but not really. We're talking about shamanism. Does it apply to off planet? And how much is your blankety blank version of Jesus Christ going to help this planet or the governments or the people to deal with aliens, which are spirits? So some guy that got very open about the whole thing with the Vatican right after I did all those chats on the Vatican this week. I don't even know. I think it's this week. He was talking something that I know, which I don't say often because people aren't going to believe it, that the ETs, the bad guys, like to live off of something they call loosh. Loosh. I'm almost sure it's Loosh. What is that? Loosh. I did it. And they define it as a form of vital energy or life force generated by human beings, particularly during intense emotional experiences like suffering, fear, or even intense love. Cancel the intense love. Um, it's a valuable energy that non physical or interdimensional entities feed on to sustain themselves, with the system designed to harvest these emotions from humanity. The system is the pushing human beings to go to war, at which time a form of vital energy or life force generated by the human beings in the war situation um, are used as a valuable energy by non-physical interdimensional entities, and they feed on this and sustain themselves. It's a gasoline that they use. Here's the trick. That was what Adam Schiff and my handler, Rene de Villegas, were doing to me. And it got a bit frantic. And from those chats, it got a bit frantic because they didn't have access to me. And they needed that energy, particularly Rene de Villegas. I don't know if he's dead or alive, because he was very ill, sick. An STD that was literally killing him, which he was trying to pass on to as many people as possible. Such a lovely man. I do have to swallow every once in a while. Loosh, they don't know it. This is Robert Monroe, was very famous, having to do with spirituality, whatever. Loosh is actually an accumulation of astral particles. Astral particles are considered a force in Hinduism, and they are. Your spirit is a force. Your physical body is a bag of bones. Your spirit, which is supposed to be inside your physical body, it gives you the vitality. It's a force. So forever, and that book, The Gods of Eden, is one of the thousands of books that talks about this. The bad guys want us to be at war. They want the pain and suffering because we emit something called a miasm, which is a word that's been known throughout history. Loosh is a new word by a modern guy in spirituality who I guess cannot see the way that I can see and didn't connect the dots, and it's fine because we got the information out there. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I think Robert Monroe from the Monroe Institute. And he puts the name of a type of spirit that feeds on them. I suspect there's many more types, but I don't really know. So we have spirits, you don't believe in spirits, who understand the type of gasoline that's astral particles. You don't believe in that either. And they know how to make us emit a lot of it. You don't know anything about that either. I'll show you one form of that, and you're not going to be happy. There you go. The sketching of the movement of energy is not 100% accurate. It's probably like 70% accurate. I couldn't get my graphic artist to get it 100% accurate, so I finally said, just give me that. That's good enough. That wave that's going to her would be what they would have called loosh, which is astral particles. The trick with negative astral particles is they're toxic. So they create portals, and then you have the spirits that always come in when there's negative. What's the point of the matter? If you're not getting the whole Jesus Christ thing straight, you're not going to get the alien thing straight. You're going to end up doing exactly what the bad guys off planet want, which is the holy war, and you're going to give them more gasoline. As you are using petroleum and gasoline, which is full of spirits because it is an accumulation of everything on earth, the trees, the plants, and all the dead bodies that never had their spirits released to go to the light. So what you don't know makes it a pretty lousy way to do business on planet Earth. The belief system. Whoever did the marketing on Jesus Christ did a pretty good job with Catholicism, and I think the Christians too, because they run around pointing fingers at people that haven't read the Bible or not following what the Bible says. Well, the Bible says to kill your kid, and the Bible calls a spaceship a burning bush, and the Bible says we need to ask God to protect us when that's not what it said in Aramaic. So why am I complaining so much? Because I think we're at a really important point. The whole thing with Charlie Kirk, by the way, it seems to be all over the place, so I don't have to be worried about what I said yesterday about the wife being a mind control victim. Oh, she used to work with the military. And I was reading her thoughts this afternoon, and she's thinking, I'm not going to get away with it. Now what do I do? I was trained by the government. If you have a question to ask me, I can answer it in 15 seconds. Why, when there's a plane crash, do you have to wait 2 years for scientists that are not really scientists to tell you what happened? When your government has people like me that can tell you what happened. Now, you should never work just with something that important. You shouldn't work with one person. First place, it's highly emotional, which affects the remote viewer. You're supposed to work with three. There we go with the triangulation again. You have to work with three, and none of them can talk to each other or know each other, nor can they have information about what the details. Let's say it's a crash. They can't know the details. They have to be asked, what do you see? We have been led by the nose by people that are sick, even though they look just fine, thank you, and they usually have big bank accounts, who basically are being led by the nose by off planet enemies, and you don't even believe in spirits. And you want to jerk people around with Jesus Christ. You're going to go to the Mideast again because of Jesus Christ to get the ancestral lands of Christianity? I mean, I don't get it. I really, honestly, this doesn't hold any water. You come home from school, you tell your mom this story. I don't remember I don't know if it was Charlie or it was somebody else saying, no, we have to, those are our lands. What the hell are you talking about? Those are your lands? Then why don't you give the Indians back their lands? I don't get it. I guess you didn't have the benefit I had. My control for 30 years taught me to think. You're not thinking, you're following. You're following. Don't do that because it doesn't end well and it's not going to end well. We're going to have a holy war. What the hell is that all about? Whenever they see that they have the woman and they're flogging her, okay. No, of course we don't want that. We have 300 Hispanic kids that are lost, 300,000. Now, that woman that's being flogged and she has to wear all these fabrics, I agree with you. No, we don't want that. But you know what? I'm going to take that and not the 300,000 kids that are lost. Now, this is a really exciting time when I look at X. So it's not that I'm just here to complain. I want you to ask questions and go, does that make any sense? You know what? That sounds like maybe we should be asking those questions, please. We're in an important place. What happened that you don't trust your instincts? Oh my God, a lot of your instincts are tied up in your third eye. You've had so much fluoride poured on you, it's not available. And then Jesus Christ went ahead and tried to warn. But you did not take that warning. You just thought, oh my God, they're pinching Jesus Christ's head. Everything about him being on the cross was a message. Every single thing. And nobody has interpreted it other than say he suffered for us. Do you know how much every mind control victim that you will ever run into, do you know how many more times they suffered than Jesus Christ? For decades, for years. I don't see anybody honoring them. The fact that he died on a cross, I understand that's the way that people died when they were caught stealing. So what's going on here? You're not thinking. Okay? It's getting exciting. In X, there are so many posts up where people are asking questions and understanding things that are metaphysical. I am so happy. I am so proud. And then I get a little bit jealous. They didn't have to go through what I went through to get all this info. It's okay. It's okay. Just let me swallow without having all this pain. Um, we're getting to a good place and also to a bad place. And maybe that's the whole division in mankind. Okay. Trump, hurry up. Honestly, I'm going to die of boredom. Let's get the bad guys rounded up or whatever you're going to do. And get those radionics things, the one on top of that hospital, Catholic hospital by the water next to Guevara. They have a huge radionics machine on top of the hospital that radiates, I don't know, half of Miami. And organ harvesting is probably going to be the easiest way to get in and take down that hospital, because you're going to have a lot of angry clients that already prepaid their order for an organ. So that's enough complaining for the day. Okay, I'm Frances Fox. And I'm very happy about the marijuana thing. I'm going to set up a business and I'm going to grow a type of marijuana in a place that has a perfect balance of male female energies. And it's going to be for sex. I'm very excited about being able to do business with a sacred plant, to experiment with it.